Joining me now is John Proust, the chairman and CEO at Japan Gold, and Fraser MacCorquodale. He is the president and COO of Japan Gold. Gentlemen, thank you both for joining us.
Nice to see you today, Mark.
Thank you.
Now, John, let's start with you. Fraser was brought on board about 5 months ago. He has a lot of history at Newcrest and elsewhere, and presumably is a gentleman, based on his experience, who can kind of have his pick of the litter as to where he may want to go. He chooses to come on board with Japan Gold. So what does that say about the company and the assets and the vision?
Japan Gold is a very unique offering in the junior exploration space. The country of Japan has been vastly underexplored. It has a rich history of high-grade gold mining in the past, but has really been underattended since 1943 when a government moratorium was put in place. The setting, I think, is ideal, and Fraser fortunately had the experience of looking at Japan several times in the past, including evaluating the Japan Gold opportunity in a competition with Baric and Newmont several years ago. So I think all those elements kind of brought it together and hopefully led Fraser to the conclusion that this was a top jurisdiction in the world to be involved in.
And Fraser, what would you say were the determining factors in joining the Japan Gold team?
The main factor, obviously, is the exploration upside. You know, as I reviewed this project or this region a few times previously, and you could see it was a part of the world, first of all, it was highly mineralized and highly endowed, but was very much underexplored, and it hadn't seen any sort of modern systematic exploration, which is pretty rare in the world right now. So I could see there was a great opportunity where you could have exploration success. And that's what drove me. I wanted to join a company that could deliver the success I wanted to be part of.
John, back to you. We've spoken before, but not for a while. So could you update us on Japan Gold's Baric Alliance and the focus on several projects and give us an update on some of those?
Indeed, Mark. You know, the Baric Alliance started in February 2020. And it's a very specific alliance in terms of Baric being required to fully fund initially a 2.5-year evaluation of our project portfolio, which they did. They've spent approximately $17 million to date. That allowed them to focus in on 4 key projects where they think there's the potential to make a tier 1 or tier 2 discovery that's the scale that Baric would want for their portfolio. That focus and that activity has really led us now to the drilling phase, where we're actually drilling for discovery. And so with the 4 projects that we've got, we've already drilled the first project last year and found a very large area of alteration, which looks very promising. And this year, starting in September, so starting very shortly, we'll be drilling the second project. And then hopefully towards the end of the year, in the fourth quarter, we'll be drilling the third project. And this is very, this is very exciting for us as a junior company, because this is what you work towards, is putting that trail of clues together that ultimately lead you to put the drill bit in place and again, identify if what you think is there is there. So we'll have quite a bit of news through that period of time. So all 4 projects are advancing, and Baric is putting an awful lot of time and energy into this. I think there's been over 12 site visits over the last 12 months. We meet very, very regularly, at least twice a month. They've seconded individuals into the Japan Gold organization and are really, really involved with us, daily.
Now, Fraser, outside of the Baric Alliance, Japan Gold is focusing on a number of different projects. Can you update us and highlight some of the key ones and what the plans are?
Sure. I mean, as you said, we've got a large tenement holding. But from the time that I've been with the organisation, we've really tried to narrow it down to focus the exploration. The first place I've talked to is Middle Kyushu. which is in the northern part of the Kishu Island. And it's another one of these historic mining centres. We've got tenements sitting around at a historic mine called Teo that produced over 1 million ounces. Now that district, very much like where Baric is exploring as well, is totally underexplored. And our ground is centred around some historic mines which produced high-grade gold, but also very large alteration systems which represent the upper parts of epithermal systems. And they have been poorly understood in the past. So we've both got the opportunity to explore around old mines where we know we've got mineralisation, and then in areas where the preservation of the system's better preserved. And we do have the potential for veins at depth in there as well. So that's a pretty good story. Then we've got Hokkaido up in the north, where Japan Gold has been active and drilled a number of projects. That drilling has been successful by hitting veining and evidence of grade. We just haven't seen the tons yet. So you get the feeling that you're just sitting peripheral to something a bit larger. So one of the things we're also doing is revisiting those projects with a new lens of targeting on it and actually progress those as well. So they are really the two main areas that we're focused on outside of the Baric Alliance.
Now, John, still with the projects outside the Baric Alliance, you've said that the company has optionality with these assets. You could advance them yourselves, you could sell some, you could partner with various entities, you could broker deals as well. So do you have any updates on any of that, any progress there?
Absolutely. I mean, I think the first thing to look at is the model that we've set with Baric, which is that we have a deal with Baric where it's a milestone-driven model where they have to complete a pre-feasibility study in order to earn a 51% interest, and they have to fully fund that. And then they have to fully fund a bankable feasibility study to get to 75%. And so we're carried right through bankable feasibility with Baric. So we take that model and then we turn around and we say, okay, now we have the portfolio that Fraser is advancing. Who are the likely partners that should come in with us now that they're being rated and ranked to partner with us on those new joint ventures? And so that's something that we're advancing on now. But we're also looking at opportunities where we say, those might be ones that we just want to advance ourselves. And so again, we've got various discussions ongoing with partners that might want to support our direct advance of those projects as well. So there's lots of irons in the fire, if you will, and it's great to have not only the model or the example of Baric and how that's advanced, but also have Fraser's leadership and collaboration with new potential joint venture partners to introduce them or bring them into Japan as well.
Now, still with you, John, and more broadly with the price of gold, we know it's sitting near all-time highs. We also know that for a while now, junior gold explorers have struggled to get some love, shall we say, from the market. Although you do have an impressive shareholder base with institutions owning about 60%, Newmont at 9%. So they clearly see value. What do you think that the market has been missing here in the story?
Yeah, great question. First of all, to your point with regard to our share register, Japan Gold is very unique as a junior explorer to have 60% of our shares held by institutions, because those institutions are there not to have a small stake in a junior exploration company, but they're there because they want to be our funding partners when we go forward to build mines with Baric or other partners. And so that's a wonderful place to be in when you've got that foundation built. What the market is missing about this story, and it's not really missing on the story, it's up to us to deliver, is drill results. Because I think we get great accolades for being the first mover into Japan, assembling a great portfolio, bringing in institutions and the two largest gold mining companies in the world. And now it's about using the dollars from Baric and our dollars and new dollars from other partners, and actually drilling and bringing out an intersection or two. And what can happen with a company like Japan Gold is that we've currently got a very small market capitalization of $15 million. But by one or two intersections, that 15 million can be 100 million, it can be 200 million very, very quickly. So it can be extremely responsive to drilling news. And that's what the market's waiting for. They're saying, great marks on everything else in terms of what you've done. Show us some intersections that are meaningful, and that will take us and re-rate us really completely.
Right. Okay. Lastly here, gentlemen, and you were hinting at this, John, if we could hear from both of you, Fraser, we'll start with you. You've been sitting out for a bit. Maybe you could summarize the investment case and some of the catalysts that investors should be looking for. And again, John hinted at results would really go a long way in moving the needle.
Yeah, look, I think the investment case is pretty simple. We're exploring in a country that is recognized for high-grade gold deposits. And outside of those gold deposits, it just hasn't been well explored. When you compare it to the rest of the world, if you look at where the discoveries are still coming from, they're within the vicinity of the head frames, either along strike or at depth. That sort of exploration just hasn't happened in Japan. So you've got this unique opportunity where you have got big deposits, and outside of that, a lack of systematic exploration. And I think that's pretty rare. And as John said, over the last period of time, we've progressed a number of targets, and that drilling is just about to start under the Baric Alliance. And so I think there are going to be some pretty interesting drill results come out of those programs, which then be the foundation that we build our future programs upon.
Last word to you, John.
Well, certainly the catalyst, drilling results. We've got 2 Baric drill programs that we're organizing for this year. We're advancing on now. I think additional information, perhaps as it relates to new partnerships that can be put in place, and other arrangements within Japan that we can advance on. But I think further, it's the awareness that we are now embarking on to really expose this opportunity to the retail shareholders, which hasn't been done in a large way in the past, because we've been focusing on that institutional shareholder base that we've been very successful in developing. So I think it's really building on the fact that we check all the boxes for the ideal investment case for a junior exploration company. We're chasing high-grade gold, not low-grade gold, and we're in a jurisdiction that has a rich history of high-grade gold mining. It's been vastly underexplored. There's a sentiment in Japan that the country has been explored, but we're there to demonstrate that we're in the new chapter of discovery in Japan. We've got a de-risked opportunity where the biggest gold mining companies in the world want to be in Japan with us, and where the biggest institutions want to invest alongside with us. So this checks all the boxes for an investment case, and we want to deliver on that with the drill bit, and that's our plan.
Well, John, when I first researched Japan Gold about 18 months ago and interviewed you, the story certainly caught my eye. It's unique. It continues to be unique. So thank you for the update, and we'll be following closely.
Thank you, Mark.
Thank you.
All right, very good. John Proust, the chairman and CEO of Japan Gold, and Fraser MacCorquodale, he's president and COO of the company. Thanks a lot for watching. We'll talk to you next time.